Welcome to the Freedom Camp Podcast, rooted in truth, growing in freedom, and built on the belief that you weren't meant to grow alone. Each week, I'll share honest stories, insights, and simple questions to help you explore the unseen things that keep you from living in the freedom that's already yours. And take brave, intentional steps toward the life you were made for. This is your space to reconnect with your authentic self and grow in freedom on purpose. Welcome, Freedom Campers. We're going to look at how to care for our soul today. We're going to look at how to care for our soul in a tending to way, and we're going to look at how to care for our soul when things are hard or when there is resistance, and the value and the holistic oomph, there's a better word for that you get when you do both of them. So that's what we are going to dive into today. And as usual, we're just going to do a condensed, muchly condensed version of what we did this week in Freedom Camp. And to kick us off, I wanted to share our specific intention. So we're going to explore how doing the hard thing and caring for your soul are both acts of emotional healing and growth. And I wanted to start off by looking at soul care and what that actually is, and that it's more than just like rest, like you would think, take a nap or have a rest day when you're doing a workout. It's a tending, it's a cultivating, a nurturing, and it's specifically for your soul, so your emotions. And your emotions are all of them, like anger, joy, everything in between. How do we nurture those, and how do we really like incorporate them and work with them, instead of kind of like avoiding them or just flat out ignoring them? I wanted to start with a little story time, ironically about a story. So years ago, I don't even know, 10 some years ago, I got the vision for writing a story, and I wrote the story. The story is taking a quick summary. The story is taking Daniel chapter 4, when King Nebuchadnezzar lives like a wild man for 7 years, and then his mind is restored to him, and so is his kingdom when he stops being a wild man. It's about 4 pages or so in my Bible, and I turned it into a like Tolkien-esque level size book. I think it was like 175,000 words. And I met with an editor, and that editor said, no one's going to buy a 175,000 word book from someone that no one has ever heard of before. So this was back in, I don't know, 2010, something like that. This was like the heyday of Hunger Games and Divergent and all that. So I thought, cool, I'll just make it into a trilogy. And so I started doing that, and then I got married, and then had Benjamin and moved to a farm. And needless to say, it's not done. And I have been getting very clearly, I need to finish this book, and I need to finish it this year. Way for accountability for me there on that. So where this all connects is I really wasn't writing. And in my group coaching, like I am also part of a group coaching program that is absolutely amazing called LMS, highly recommend. And in our encounter group, we were talking about the concept of eating the frog. And ultimately, that's if you have emotional resistance to something you're trying to do, how does that connect? How do you get over it, etc.? So I paused and I thought, what's going on? Why am I not editing this book? And what I realized is there was a lot of emotions tied up in it. For example, it's editing, not writing. And so all you're doing is making decisions. What are you keeping? What's going? What's getting moved? It's all decisions. And it's like my baby. And I'm the type of writer that I just flow. I just let it out and I figure I'll edit it later. I might change that moving forward because there's a lot of editing. Point to all this is when I was able to see that there's vulnerability, there's decision fatigue, there is procrastination, and there's this deep sense of like I want it to be good. I really good. Like the way that it is in my head and in my heart, I want to get that out. And often when I'm painting or when I'm doing something creative, I find the image, the vision I have inside of me, I don't quite have the talent to get it out in that same way. So, huh, there's my frog. So when I connected that that was my frog, then it was like, oh, okay, how can I help myself to do this? Besides the obvious, just pull yourself up by your bootstraps and make it happen. And so, what I have been practicing with is caring for my soul. So, I went and listened to one of my favorite grounding songs, which is called The Children's Song from Josh Garrels, also highly recommend. I went outside, I took a walk, and then I got to work. And it made all the difference in the world. Partially because I set an intention that I'm going to do it anyway, and partially because I filled up my soul. I cared for and tended my soul in the first place. So, what we're going to do in the next few minutes in this podcast is we're going to talk about each of those and how you can um, connect to each of them for you, and then how you can use them in your daily life. So, where I want to start is looking at soul care and thinking about what are, I'd say, 5 to 10 things that you can do for your soul that care for your soul, that are showing love, showing kindness, showing support. Um, Maybe it's go outside. Maybe it's laughter. Maybe it's a listen to a particular song. Maybe it's a color and you wear that color or you have it somewhere in front of you. Take a couple minutes, hit pause and do it now if you can, or come back to it and jot down 5 to 10 things that are personal to you for caring for your soul. They don't have to be the same for me. And we're going to come back to that at the end of this podcast in a couple minutes. So I'm assuming you're back and you've got your 5 to 10 things. If not, highly recommend you go back and do that so that you can get the fullness of this. Then we look at the frog part. So what is this frog thing? So the frog thing comes from a Mark Twain quote. And it's something like, if it's your job to eat a frog, do it. It's best to do it first thing in the morning. If it's your job to eat 2 of them, it's best to eat the larger one first, or something like that. And in looking at this, it's the frog could certainly represent just something hard to do, like, oh, a calculus test, or I don't know. A calculus test would be hard for me to do at this point. Um, but it's not limited to hard to do or like a 350-pound bench press. It's where is there emotional resistance? A. B, what does emotional resistance feel like for you? So I'm going to give you a few things that could signal emotional resistance and think about where they are in your body. So dread, um, indecision or decision fatigue, low level anxiety that if nothing is done about it, it's going to become mid or high level anxiety, constant internal negotiation. I think of the scene, there were a few in Lord of the Rings, if you're familiar with that book or movie, with Gollum. And he's going back and forth about how he should think and how he should behave. Perfect example of this internal negotiation. And then it can lead to shame. It can lead to procrastination. And ultimately, what it's doing is it's using up your emotional energy. So think of it like a an adding to your emotional energy would be the soul care, the tending to things. They're increasing your emotional energy. And eating the or not eating the frog is depleting your emotional energy. It's like sucking you dry. And that's really where that initial statement about doing the hard thing is equally caring for your emotions as, eating bonbons and watching your favorite TV show or whatever your soul care thing is. The way that we make the eating the frog practical, the encouragement, the challenge, actually, the freedom campers in the group are doing a challenge this week with prizes, um, and and the challenge is around both of these things. So when you take eating the frog, you first ask each day, what is my frog today? What are you emotionally resisting or avoiding? What task? And it may feel small, but it's taking up space in your mind or in your heart. And for some reason, you're not doing it. Next, what time will you do that thing? And that's about not only scheduling, and definitely put it in your planner if you have one. And if you don't have a planner, get a planner. They're the best. The other is honoring yourself and honoring the task, which is why having a planner is the best because it helps you learn how to honor yourself and honor what you say you're going to do, which connects with all of this about building confidence and helping yourself, helping this to become really an identity shaping practice instead of just something that you do. So then you think about who are you going to become by doing this thing? And that could be like, what version of yourself are you showing up as? It's letting your identity shape and move you through the rest of your day. So, for example, if you're someone that's struggled to be on time, maybe your frog is, I'm going to be at all of my appointments on time today. And you're not only going to schedule when your appointments are, you're going to schedule when you need to leave or when you need to do something to be ready for those appointments as well. Think about you keep doing that day after day, week after week, month after month. And guess what? Your identity will literally change. And you will go from someone who's always late to someone who's on time. Me. I used to be late every time, all the time, always. Now I'm ish late. Usually not. Sometimes I am. I'm getting better. Point is, it can literally shape your identity. Then you think about, what is this saving me from? So maybe you feel guilty because you haven't done it. Or maybe you're mad at yourself because you haven't done it. And then being mad at yourself leads to all these other emotions, which then maybe connects with overeating or over exercising or being critical about yourself. There's like this ripple effect that happens with this as well. So, what is this saving you from? Maybe it's avoiding shame later. Maybe it's spinning in indecision. Maybe it's continuing to feel like you're someone who doesn't finish things when you actually are. And then finally, every day also, this is number 5, what does your soul need today? What's one thing for soul care that you are going to do for yourself today? And this is where you pull out that list from a few minutes ago of the 5 to 10 things that are um, tending to your soul, and you plug one of those things in. Then you do it. You actually do the thing. You eat the frog, you care for your soul. Next day, rinse and repeat, and it keeps going. And the beauty of this is that soul care without the movement, soul care without eating the frog, becomes indulgence. And just eating the frog without caring for your soul becomes burnout. When you do the two of them, that's that holistic growth. That's where the freedom comes. That's where you're building trust with yourself. That's where you're showing up for yourself and you're saying, I can do meaningful things and I show up for myself. This is where you're connecting with your authentic self and you're letting that authentic self shine out. And you're learning to let her shine, and you're learning who she is, and you're learning how to trust yourself. So again, the prompt is each morning you ask, what's my frog? When am I doing it? Who am I becoming? What's this saving me from? And what does my soul need today? And then you jot those things down. Take 90 seconds and then you go do it. And of course, don't overextend yourself. Pick a frog that you can do that day, or a piece of a big project. Break it up into little frogs. And when you're done, come into the comments and share, what was that like? What was your frog? What was your soul care? We could really help each other by coming up with sharing ideas for how to care for our souls that maybe others hadn't thought of. Also looking at, what does it feel like when you finally do the hard thing? So I hope that was helpful. I hope that you will embrace this and use it. Definitely ask any questions if you have them. And I look forward to finding out from you all what frogs you eat and how you care for your soul. See you next time. Thanks for listening to the Freedom Camp podcast, where we believe freedom is nurtured from within and grows when you tend to it. If this stirred something in you, let it take root this week and see what grows. And if you enjoyed this or found it meaningful, please give the gift of a review, share it with a friend, and leave a comment below. It helps us build this podcast community because we weren't meant to grow alone.